Beware the people who tell you they've changed. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Rain Falls, and welcome to Rain Radio. I'm happy to see you guys again. Now, I said earlier, beware of the people who tell you they've changed. I remember I was at my brother's house with his wife and my mother. We were all having a pretty deep conversation. And my brother told me, well, he was telling the group, basically, he was like, when people tell me certain things, like, for an example, oh, I'm such a nice person, he goes in his mind and thinks, why are you telling me this? Like, you want me to think you're a nice person. People who tell you these things instead of allowing you to come up with your own decision. You can determine if somebody has changed or not. You don't need them to tell you that they've changed. You would just see that they've changed, and you will acknowledge it. You will just see that they're kind. You will just see these things. But if it's people always trying to tell. I remember my teacher. I had an English teacher, Dr. DeLong, and we would write our essays, and he would always say, he's like, you're just telling us stuff. You're not showing us. You're not showing us this thing. And I didn't get it until like later on, probably until I wasn't in his class anymore. I had to withdraw out that class, but I finally understood what he meant by showing versus telling. And then I took that lesson and I saw it in real life. Some people will tell you and some people will show you. The people who will show you, there's no explanation. There's nothing to talk about. If somebody has truly changed, more than likely, they're not trying to go around telling everybody that they've changed. The people around will carry that story for them, because what are they doing around the community? Or it's not always around the community, but whatever they're doing in their external world is they're relaying that, oh, this person has changed. They're doing something different than what they've done before. See, people will come to you and they'll say that they've changed, but really they haven't. They have not changed at all. They just want you to think that they've changed. So that's the illusion. Or like when people say, I'm smart, I'm so smart. Who are you trying to convince? It's almost like they're trying to convince you that they've changed, or they're trying to convince you that they're nice, or that they're trying to convince you that they're smart, or they're trying to convince you that they got connections and stuff like that. But really, they don't want you to determine that for yourself. They don't want you to think for yourself. I'm trustworthy. That's great. But who are you trying to convince? You trying to convince me that you're trustworthy? Because if you have to convince somebody of something, does that really mean that you are true to it? If you have to convince somebody of something, if you have to persuade them, if you have to persuade or convince somebody or psychologically seduce somebody into hopping on your train, or just having them think of you a certain type of way, you got to watch people like that, because they're about image and perception. It's never within, it's always external for those people. So they say these things, but they're just saying things. They're saying things without any type of heart. They don't got no heart to what they say. So therefore, what they say always and will always fall flat. Now, you as the person that they're coming to and trying to convince, you have to now recognize the pattern that they're always talking, but they don't show anything. What are they doing that's different? If you've changed, what are you doing that's different? Like, what are you truly doing that's different? And if you are doing something different, why can't anybody see it? If you are so smart, and the thing is, if you are these things, people will just tell you anyway. They will show you, they'll tell you, hey, you're really smart, or hey, you've changed, like, you're different. Yeah, they'll tell you, because anything that happens within, it's a law. It has to reflect outward. So if you've truly changed within, the external will also change within, and it will reflect your change. You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of people who they like to convince people that they've gone within. But the truth is, you already know that that person didn't go within. Because if they did, why are they talking to you about it? Why are they still trying to convince you that they're going within and changing and doing all these things? It's like they got a checklist. I'm going to say these certain words that are going to key off into your mind that says change, but it's very superficial. And people like that are very superficial. People who will try to convince you of stuff rather than embodying the change itself, they're very shallow people, because they don't want to go within. They want to just convince you, and they want to control their image and their perception. They want you to think of them a certain type of way so you can be in their control. It's very important that you recognize those patterns so that you don't get caught up in that. So when somebody comes to you and you will feel it when they come to you and they have to say, I'm so da 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 da, I'm so da 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 da, I'm da 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 da. Here's a good one. I'm very spiritual. I'm a spiritual person. Who are you trying to convince? Because if you were a spiritual person, would you really need to convince it, or would you just be a spiritual person? You wouldn't need to say that. You get what I'm saying? It's two different vibrations. One is an I, and the other one just is. You get it? One is an I, and the other one just is. There is no I in this one. It just is. People can feel it. They'll be able to feel it off of you. And I'm not just talking about, that's just an example, but that goes for anything. There's people who are, and then there's the I's. You gotta watch out for the people who always talk about I. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. They don't really know what it means to really just be, because they're so busy trying to convince themselves of I. And they're not trying to convince, they're trying to convince you, but really, on a psychological level, they're trying to convince themselves, because they truly don't believe it in themselves. They truly don't believe what they're saying. Like, they don't. have a lot of confidence in themselves. They know that they haven't changed. They know they're not that smart. That's why they feel the need to boost themselves up that so much. They know they're not good looking, because why do you need to always say, I'm so this, I'm so that, and boost your own ego up instead of just embodying what it is? If you're sexy, embody it, and people will reflect it. You wouldn't need to keep saying it so much. There's a difference between, yeah, you can look in a mirror and give yourself affirmations. That's nothing wrong with that. And those I statements there can be helpful because you're speaking to yourself. But when you're going to other people and you're trying to convince other people of these things, then why are you trying to convince them of that? Why are you trying to control their perception or their image of you? They shouldn't need to control that image or that perception of you. If they really embodied those things, they don't care what you think of them, because they just are, and it just is. So be mindful of the people who tell rather than show. Yeah. That's all I got to say today. Bye.